The great Tim Kurkjian is with us. I miss him. I love him. He puts a smile on my face every single time that I see him. You check out his podcast. Is this a great game or what? He does it with his son. I think that's probably, Timmy, right? The most enjoyable thing you've done with your professional career, right?
By far, Stugotz. We do 3 days a week. We have a big interview every Wednesday. Last 2 Wednesdays, we had Chipper Jones and then Billy Wagner. We have Tony Gwynn Jr. this week. And then we do a regular show every Tuesday and every Thursday. So we're on 3 days a week. My son is not the biggest baseball fan in the world. He understands it, but he doesn't love it like I do. But he knows everything else. You know, he's great at music and pop culture and like how the world works. And poor Pop, he doesn't know anything other than baseball and basketball.
Wait, so Timmy, you have the baseball down and he has everything else.
Yes, he can really fill in the gaps on so many things, unless it's basketball and sitcoms from the 60s. I'm an expert. But otherwise, I stink at everything, and he's good at everything. So we're a good team.
Izzy, you seem surprised that Tim Kurkjian's son is not a monster baseball fan.
I was a little bit, but then I realized that I remembered that. I was just wondering, though, Tim, in terms of like, because you mentioned Chipper Jones, and I know he's somebody that was, in the game when I covered it that one year. And I'm wondering how many people lately, because it's got to be such a great feeling for you, Tim, where these guys who, have maybe talked to you a time or two, but they probably just talk to you like your family, like you know each other for so long because you guys know the sports so well. Like anybody recently just tell you stories about yourself that made you a little uncomfortable because they were giving you too many compliments or anything like that, or something that just made you feel really good about your career and your life so far?
Well, I just got back from Cooperstown, and it's pretty cool when I get to talk to Johnny Bench, and even though he makes fun of me all the time, he's also very complimentary. I talked to Alan Trammell the other day, and he was very kind to me, as he always is. And then there's Ken Griffey Jr. I had a long chat with the other day. I saw him a couple years ago in spring training. I hadn't seen him in about 6 months. So first time I see him, he goes, people retire. You know that, right? I had to explain it. Well, I'm not ready to retire. I still like what I'm doing. So, yes, Izzy, I have some of those encounters, and they're very flattering, and they make me feel really good, especially when you're in Cooperstown and you run into Hall of Famers every step you take.
Can I tell you my favorite Ken Griffey Jr. story then? Because like I said, I only covered baseball for 1 year, but I was 22, 23 years old, and I was in a batting cage in Cincinnati, or behind the batting cage in Cincinnati, and Griffey's up there, doing his usual routine, and about halfway through, his bat breaks in half. And he can still hang it, he can still hold it. It's still, pretty much intact, but there's a big chunk missing out of one side. He just turns it a little bit, keeps going, hits about 3 more home runs with the broken bat, and then ends his session. Doesn't get a new bat, just finishes it with the broken bat, and didn't look like it had changed at all.
Yeah, well, he has the most beautiful swing that I've ever seen in the time that I've covered. I think Ted Williams has the greatest swing of all time. But in the last 45 years, no one's ever had a better, more fundamentally sound swing than Ken Griffey Jr. And when you look at that swing and look at the way he played center field over the years, he was a breathtaking player to watch.
Timmy, we lost a great one in Ryne Sandberg. We were talking earlier that Ryne Sandberg is 80s baseball. For the people who didn't see Ryne Sandberg or aren't aware of just how great Ryne Sandberg was, can you put his career, his life into perspective for those people, Timmy?
Yeah, he's one of the greatest defensive second basemen of all time. He won 9 Gold Gloves, set all sorts of fielding records. Roberto Alomar with 10 is the only one to win more. Nobody was better at avoiding a runner who's trying to kill you at second base than Ryne Sandberg was. In fact, Lloyd McClendon told me once, former major league player and manager, that he got hit by a pitch on purpose by the Cubs. And he's with the Pirates, and all he wants to do is kill the shortstop or second baseman on the double play. So he's hoping while on first base, I hope there's a double play ball. So there's a ground ball to the shortstop. He's running to second, and he's got Sandberg, who he loves, by the way, in his sights. And he says, I got him. I'm going to kill him just to make up for them hitting me on purpose. And then he said, and then he disappeared. and then there was a double play. That's how great Ryne Sandberg was around the bag. But just as much as his defense, he became an elite power hitter. He hit 40 home runs in a season, won the MVP in 1980, won the home run derby, one of 3 second basemen ever with 250 homers and 300 steals. He was a complete player who played with an elegance that very few players I've ever seen played with, and one of the nicest men I've ever met in a major league uniform.
Well, Tim, can you take me back to that time? Because when I think of growing up with baseball, when I think of guys who are just baseball, who are just America, I think of 2 guys, Cal Ripken, Ryne Sandberg.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because of where he played, was it because of how he played, because of how he looked, how he presented himself, or was he marketed a certain way? Like, what was it about Ryne Sandberg that people just loved outside? Because nobody's going to say he could really avoid that base runner at second base. Like, that's what Tim Kurkjian's going to say,
Tim
but that's
knows
not what everybody else is going to say.
Yeah, well, he was all of those. I think the way he carried himself more than anything else is what differentiated him from everyone else. And as far as marketing goes, he didn't want any part of that. He just wanted to play. He wasn't about to sell his name or his face or anything else. He just wanted to beat you. And he was such a great player in his time. And famously, he had game-tying homer off of Bruce Sutter in the 9th and the 10th inning of a major league game. Sutter at the time was the best closer in the game. And in Chicago, they still call it the Sandberg game. And Whitey Herzog said after the game, he's got to be the greatest player of all time to do what he did today against an elite pitcher like Bruce Sutter. So, yeah, he and Ripken are in very much the same category. And Ripken told me a story once about playoff game in Tampa Bay in 2007, where the catcher and the pitcher, I'll make it quick, changed the sign on the mound and didn't tell all the middle infielders or all the infielders what the next pitch was going to be. And Ripken was astonished. How is it possible that a pitch was thrown in a major league game and the middle infielders especially didn't know what was coming? So I told this story to Ryne Sandberg. I got halfway through it and he said, no, don't tell me the second baseman and shortstop didn't know what pitch was coming in a playoff game. I said, Rhino, that's the truth. And he went, oh, my God, not one pitch was ever thrown in a major league game that I was playing in that I didn't know location and pitch. And then I looked at Mark Grace and told him every single time what was coming. That's how much he loved the game. Man. And that's how important the game was to him.
Wow. Seems like Grace owes everything to Sandberg. I mean,
well, he was an elite player, and there wasn't anything he couldn't do.
Right. Timmy, what'd you make of the Bryce Harper, Rob Manfred story with Harper telling Manfred to get the fuck out of his dugout?
Yeah,
I feel bad cursing in front of Tim Kurkjian. I do.
Yeah, right.
I heard it before the story ran, and I was surprised because very few people go toe-to-toe with anybody these days. But I think it speaks sadly to where we are and the tension in the game, because I know wherever I go, I sense that we're heading for a potential work stoppage in 2027. And the players know that. Stugotz, Izzy, I covered the 1981 strike. That was all about a salary cap. Yeah. And now we're talking about a salary cap 44 years later. It just doesn't fly with the players, and the owners and the commissioner and everyone else needs to understand that. Look, we have a lot of work to do, and both sides have to give on this. But when you start with a salary cap, you're going to get players like Bryce Harper standing up and saying, no, we're not going there. And that's my big concern is if that's your number one topic, we're in a lot of trouble moving forward.
Tim, what would be a tipping point finally to get to a salary cap? Because it feels like, I don't know if it's Shohei's contract. It feels like we've probably crossed a few of those and just kept going.
Well, we crossed a few of those in 81 and in 94, and we still haven't gotten to a point where baseball is going to accept this. And it goes back to Marvin Miller, who's in the Hall of Fame. It goes back to Don Fehr and Gene Orza and Michael Weiner. These are the guys who started and ran and run the Players Association, and no union leader is going to give in on something that Marvin Miller and many others fought for so hard. So that's why we're all concerned. Those are the two words you just can't bring up, especially in a major league clubhouse. Salary cap, you're not going to go very far with that.
Timmy Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony was over the weekend. You were there, of course. And I am wondering, listen, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I do. I just don't think CC Sabathia is worthy of being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Am I wrong?
Well, you're wrong so often, Stugotz.
I love you. Thank you.
No. First off, I don't make a differentiation between a first ballot Hall of Famer and a Hall of Famer. You're either one or you're not. That's just the way that I present it to myself. Sabathia, when you look at winning percentage, wins, and strikeouts, there are only 5 other pitchers in Major League history that can match him in those 5 categories. And they're 5 of the greatest pitchers of all time. When you look at the strikeouts for Sabathia, the only left-handers that ever struck out more than him were Randy Johnson and Steve Carlton, 2 of the top 5 left-handers in the history of the sport. And I know it's corny and it's a cliche now, but he took the ball when others didn't. We still don't have pitchers that take the ball anywhere close to what he did. Short rest, free agent season, give me the ball. It's a playoff game. Get out of my way. There is really something to be said for that. I see your points, Stugotz. He's not Randy Johnson. He's not Steve Carlton. But for me, he's a Hall of Famer, whether it's first ballot or 10th ballot.
Tim, I know he was just a rental, but I only remember him as a Milwaukee Brewer. It's crazy, I know. But what about that short stint that was so memorable?
That's one reason he went to the Hall of Fame, is people remember him getting traded and the difference he made for the Brewers. And it was with the Brewers that he said, give me the ball on short rest. This is the playoffs. We have to win. Give me the ball. I'll go from here. And those are the moments that separate him from so many other pitchers out there.
Tim, I've been banging my fist on the table when Billy Wagner gets in, even as a Yankee fan, that John Franco should be in the Hall of Fame with the most saves as a lefty, a sub-3 ERA. Are you kind of on my side that Franco should be in the Hall of Fame?
He doesn't get nearly enough credit for what he has done. However, there's a difference between Billy Wagner and John Franco. And I see your point, Taylor. I'm not going to say John Franco's not a Hall of Famer, but I'm going to tell you that he's different than Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner averaged 11.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Wow. He allowed 6 hits per 9 innings. That's the lowest rate of any pitcher in Major League history with at least 900 innings. He was a power left-hander like almost never seen before out of a relief pitcher. And the amazing part, fellas, as you may know, is he's a natural right-handed thrower who broke his arm twice when he was 6 years old. So he had to learn how to throw left-handed. Then he learned how to throw left-handed at 100 miles an hour. So he told me a story at our podcast the other day. I'd never heard this. 10 years into his career, Kenny Rogers, pretty darn good left-handed pitcher, goes to Billy Wagner at the batting cage one day and says, I bet I can throw a baseball farther than you can with my right hand. So Billy goes, okay, whatever. So Kenny Rogers throws the ball to the outfield grass from home plate. Pretty good throw for his weaker arm. And then Billy Wagner picks it up with his right hand and throws it over the left field fence into the stands. And Kenny Rogers look at him like, what? And Billy Wagner goes, I'm naturally right-handed. So there are so many great stories about Billy Wagner, but the number one is he is a power left-hander who saved 422 games. That's why he made it to the Hall of Fame and John Franco didn't.
Taylor, tell Tim Kurkjian and Izzy and Mikey A what it is you just texted me, because we all feel the same way. We do.
I said I could listen to Tim Kurkjian talk baseball all day. All day.
And he knows it.
I was just thinking, Tim, I've been out of baseball for a while still. And I
you want back in?
I do, because I watched one Marlins game all season. It was the first game after the All-Star, and I think it was the first game. And that's where Stowers had like a walk-off. And I was like, hey, I really want to get into this team, this player in particular, but something's like needs to reel me in. And I'm wondering if there's like one or two like new-ish storylines or players that you would suggest, hey, really follow this guy. His story's pretty cool, or his arc is pretty cool.
Well, Izzy, what you need to keep your eye on for me is just what kind of dominant pitching that we have right now. I've never seen anything like this in my life. The stuff that guys see on a nightly basis is just ridiculously good. Jacob Misiorowski threw 102 miles an hour in the All-Star game and then threw a slider at 98 miles an hour. This is what hitters see every single day when they go to the plate. Jake Berger, who's a pretty good hitter for the Texas Rangers, told me recently, he said, the pitching now compared to 5 years ago when he debuted, he said, is absolutely night and day. And he said, and I can't even imagine what pitching is going to look like 5 years from now. I'm telling you, fellas, we are getting close to the point where we have to say, should we be doing something about this like they did in 1968, 69 and lowered the mound? Because most hitters on a daily basis have virtually no chance when a really good pitcher like Tarek Skubal or Paul Skeens or dozens of others locate with that really good stuff. They have no chance. So just keep your eye for the rest of the season on the pitching that we're going to see, because it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Would a lower mound make that much of a difference, Tim?
I think a lower mound would make a difference, yes. But, people have told me lowering the mound won't make enough of a difference. We need to move the mound back 5 feet. Now, we're not going to do that. They set it at that distance in 1893, 60 feet, 6 inches. We're not changing that, because then pitchers are going to get hurt more often than ever. But it's pretty close to being the time, because when Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, the two best hitters in the game, have 100 strikeouts before the All-Star break, it just means they're facing stuff that people have never seen before. Judge struck out, and I love that guy. He's the best player in the game, but he struck out 42 times in the month of June. Yeah. I mean, Tony Gwynn never struck out 42 times in his career, and Judge did it in 1 month. That's what we're looking at these days.
All day, Taylor.
All day.
Timmy, we have a game for you at the end. Kurkj-in, Kurkj-out. We'll get to it in just a second. I have two quick. He hates the games. He's scratching his head. But two quick questions, Timmy. Okay, we'll get you out of here. The swing off that we saw during the All-Star game, is that something that you could see down the road being implemented into regular season games?
No, and if it does, Stugotz, sorry, I know this crushes you, but I will retire if we put that into the regular season. Okay, really? It worked beautifully in the All-Star game.
It was great.
Sorry,
not worth it.
All-Star game. It's an exhibition game. Players leave the ballpark after the 5th inning. So how much can winning and losing really matter at the All-Star game? It doesn't matter. But I was there. I was on the field for the swing off, and the National League and American League players were going crazy. When Brent Rooker hit 2 of his 3 pitches over the fence for a homer, those guys were nuts about it. And then when Kyle Schwarber hit 3 straight homers on 3 straight pitches, it was fabulous. But I'm sorry, I'm just too old to be saying that, yes, let's have a home run derby after every tie game after 10 innings. No, we can't go there. It's too radical.
Your night ends earlier, Tim. I don't know. The older you get,
we found the thing that's going to make him retire, is he? I mean,
look, I don't even like the ghost runner at second after 10, with a 10-inning tie. Imagine having a home run derby after 10. No, we can't do that. Sorry.
All right, so quickly, I know you're not a gambler, but if you had to gamble an amount of money that meant something to you, Tim, on the team to win the World Series this year, who would you bet on?
Well, I had this conversation the other day. There are no great teams in the major leagues at this moment. None. No one's going to win 100 games this year. And it just shows you how hard it is to stay healthy. The Dodgers, I'm going to answer your question, Stugotz, and say the Dodgers are going to repeat as the world champions. But I'm saying that thinking that Blake Snell's going to come back and Roki Sazaki's going to come back and Tyler Glasnow is going to continue to throw this well, and they're going to get their entire everyday lineup solidified at some point this year. Then, to me, they have the best team in baseball, and they will be the odds-on favorite to win. But right now, you can't think, the Dodgers are going to win. Not with all the injuries that they have. So that's why baseball is so beautiful. Jordan in his prime, and they're rolling down, the stretch run. You kind of knew they were going to win. When Steph and Clay and KD were shooting it the way they were, you kind of knew they were going to win. But you never know in baseball, and to me, that's what makes the stretch run in October so interesting.
All right, Taylor, give him Kurkj in, Kurkj out. Make it quick. He needs to get out of here. He's a busy man.
Perfect that you mentioned the Dodgers. The first question for Kurkj in or Kurkj out. The Cubs are the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the National League. Kurkj in or Kurkj out?
Look, I love the Cubs, the way they score runs in an era when it's really hard to score runs, but I still think the Phillies are the biggest threat to the Dodgers. That Phillies rotation is really good. Suarez, Sanchez, Nola's coming back. Wheeler's one of the three best pitchers in the game. I love that Phillies pitching, and they're going to really start to mash here eventually. They're the biggest threat to the Dodgers.
Kurkj out.
A concert that starts at 9:55 on a Sunday. Kurkj in or Kurkj out?
There's no way he's in. I mean, there's no way.
Well, I've only been to 3 concerts in my life.
What?
And one was Yellow Card with my 8th grade daughter, Kelly. And I was told, having never really done this before, that the concert starts at 7:30 on a school night. And I am with 5 8th grade girls. So I think, all right, starts at 7:30. 2 hours, 9:30, we'll be home by 10:15. Piece of cake. Well, Yellow Card, which I got mixed up with Green Card or Green Day or Green whatever. Day. I fouled that up. Yellow Card went on at 10:10. 10:10 on school night. And I'm in charge of 5 8th grade girls. I called their parents like 20 times. I'll get them home as soon as. But we've gone through 3 walk-up bands or whatever they're called. So 9:50 is too late.
Bands.
Yeah,
my walk-up music is these other bands that play right before I come on.
Right.
Ocean Avenue was a beast back then, though.
One-hit wonder, Yellow Card. From Jacksonville, Florida, by the way, the band.
Right. 9:50 is too late, especially when you're in elementary school.
No doubt. What were the other 2 concerts, Tim? Just out of curiosity.
I saw Dan Fogelberg in college.
Nice.
It was a disaster. It was a date. They were all disasters in college, and there weren't many of them, believe me. And then I saw Kenny Chesney on the day that we took Kelly Kurkjian to Syracuse, because I met Kenny Chesney at the White House once. Dropping names, and a miracle. He knew who I was, and I had a nice chat with him, and I realized why he likes me. I'm shorter than him, which is amazing. Right?
Why was the date a disaster?
Pardon me?
Why was the date a disaster?
When you're 4'8" and you have no idea what to say to a girl, that makes it really hard. So,
and you're walking around with a baseball almanac.
Yes. I couldn't find a girl who wanted to talk about runners, runners with scoring position or anything like that. It was bad. I was bad.
You found some guys, Timmy, because we are glued to you. We're hanging on your every word. All right, a couple more. Go ahead, Taylor. Get them out of here.
The Yankees, as is, aren't a championship level team. Kurkj in or Kurkj out?
That's Kurkj out, because as of now, they don't have Aaron Judge in the lineup. Now, when he comes back, let's say in 10 days, and he can play the outfield, which I don't think he's going to be able to do with his elbow injury, then I think they could go back to the World Series. I'm certainly not picking them to, but in a winnable American League, I think they would be good enough to go back. But right now, I would say they are not good enough to win the World Series with the team they have now, especially with Judge hurt.
Last one, Taylor.
We have one final one. Paul Skeens is going to be the first starting pitcher to win the Cy Young with a losing record? Kurkjian or Kurkj-out?
I'm Kurkj in on that. We no longer pay attention to wins and losses, which is, I guess, in a way good. It still bothers me as an old man that used to matter whether you won or lost the game. But Skeens is different. He's got an ERA under 2 again, and he has the lowest ERA of any pitcher in the history of the game through 45 starts, 250 innings. Since earned runs became official in 1913. I'm telling you, fellas, I've never seen a young pitcher come along with the impact that this guy has made. Nobody, not Steven Strasburg, not Dwight Gooden, not even Fernando Valenzuela, not for 45 starts. That's how good he is, and I think he's only going to get better, and I think he will win the Cy Young this year no matter what his record is.
I've heard a lot about Paul Skeens, but that sentence right there and those names that he put in the context with Skeens makes me recognize just how special he is.
Yeah.
Stu, in 5 July starts, Paul Skeens, 2-1 with a .67 ERA.
Absurd. No, it's absurd. I mean, Timmy's wiping his head. He's like,
23 years old.
You can't even believe it. He's been around baseball his whole life.
Right.
Go ahead, Tim.
I was in the dugout 2 years ago at the All-Star game, and he started the All-Star game as he does both years. I watched him, fellas, pace that dugout about 15 times before the start, and he was in a trance. It was like there was nobody else around him. He was getting ready to go pitch. This is what the great pitchers, Roger Clemens, all of them that I've ever met, once their head is where it needs to be, they don't have no idea what's going on until they get on the mound and they look at that catcher's mitt, and he was in a trance. And that told me again just how wildly competitive it was and how focused he can get. A common denominator of all the great athletes I've ever met.
Just like Stu at a Dead show in a trance.
Oh, yeah, for 3 days coming up this weekend in San Francisco. 3-day trance. Timmy, you want to join me for your 4th concert? What do you think? Dead and Company, San Fran, me and you?
It's so embarrassing. I've never seen The Dead. I've never seen Springsteen.
Yeah.
Beyonce.
But I saw Green Card, Green Day, Yellow Card. With 3 opening acts. Did I get that right?
Well, Timmy, we asked that because I went to a concert Sunday night that started. It had 3 opening acts, 17 videos about them saving the ocean, and then they finally got around to starting at 9:55 p.m.
Get over yourself.
Way too late. Yes.
Old play. Timmy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Is this a great game or what? Check out the podcast, Tim and his son. It is fantastic. Tim loves baseball. His son, not so much.
He loves his son.
He loves baseball. He just doesn't know that much about it because he was busy doing other things. He was the star of all the school plays. He had 517 lines in The Odd Couple as a senior, which was amazing. He played Nicely Johnson in Guys and Dolls. So, yeah, he's way more talented than I am.
I love you, Tim Kurkjian. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Okay, guys. See ya.
I didn't mean to say you didn't love baseball. You yelled at me. You made me feel bad. I'm sorry I said it, Tim, okay?
I didn't yell at you. I don't yell at anyone. See you guys.
See you, Timmy.